Hey everybody, that's me, Web C, and I'm here with the Model Rocketeer, and the Leprkon will probably adventure his way in as soon as he pops out of his hidey hole with his pot of gold. And we are here having no fun, no love, no hate, no space. Everybody's in a positive place, and we're going to watch some cool stuff tonight. I tell you what, if there's things going on in the world that we don't even talk about. There's things that did you know Egypt has an Area 51, Carrie?
Yeah.
That stuff is crazy. I was looking into that. I was like, wow, we're going to go down a rabbit hole tonight. We're going to do two things. We're going to go down that rabbit hole, and then we're also going to go back. We're still watching that Journey to Planet SErpo, A True Story. Yeah. That stuff is such a trip. I hope you've been at least watching along as you're doing your thing, listening along or whatever to the episodes as I go, because we're halfway through. We're finally halfway through, and before we start that, I'll give you the synapse and everything and where we're at, get us all caught up, and then I just thought that Egypt thing was just, I think it's pretty interesting. It's one of those things where it's like,
maybe. It is. But that right there opens the rest of the can almost, because it's like if there's one there, let's think about other places, because there's more than just one. And little by little, this all comes to light, and then we will start to understand things at an exponential rate as it starts coming back, because we're going to see this and say, "Oh, really?" And the mind's going to go back to work, because this is no coincidence. This isn't just, "Oh, we're going to throw in here, throw in there." There's a reason, and it all makes sense. So buckle up, everybody.
Yep. And my internet is acting super funky. Let me go close this other page. Let me go make sure everything's closed down real quick. Kind of do like a small quick little reset them, if you will. All right. So I was thinking I'm just going to play the audio and see if the audio will just play. And we can maybe just throw this up for now, for a moment. Just a look-see. Images brought to you by Newsweek. It's the planet SErpo. All right. So I'm just I'm looking up the excuse me, I got some phlegm. I'm just looking up the video that we're watching, or what we're supposed to be getting into. Yeah, and waiting on other people to get in. My connection was jumping, so we'll see how that goes. Nobody likes a jumpy connection. Yep, so we are on chapter 10 of Planet SErpo. I'm going to go double check and make sure the kids are in bed and everything, or getting to bed. All that stuff. I'm going to go close the doors and stuff. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, here's a nice project for everybody that's following along. It is a Proboat Impulse 31. This is a V1. It was purchased at Get a Hobby here in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. So if you guys get a chance to check it out at getahobby.com. Sponsored.
I was also working on getting a deck sleeved up, a brand new deck. I just chipped a nail. Like, son of a gun. So
and go check them out.
I have to fix that real quick. Don't worry about me, guys. We're going to get jumping in on this.
And stuff like that.
What's stuff like what?
Oh, I was talking to the camera. Because making room, so I was playing with my boat for a minute. Because this is another project sitting in the shop, because it needs some electronics.
Sweet.
But I was trying to make some space, because I got this awesome 5-hour energy rack from the Red Bull distributor, because they're going to throw them away. I was like, hey, man, what are you going to do with that? I was like, that's perfect for my studio. It's got some cool shelves.
Sweet. So, I bought this Transformer card is real. but it's two-sided. So one side's the robot mode, one side's the vehicle mode. So Magic the Gathering's been known to have transforming cards forever. So that's always been something that's been awesome about Magic the Gathering. So having a transformer as your commander is pretty sweet.
That would be pretty sweet. That could be pretty sweet, yeah.
I'll be sleeving up some cards to get this deck ready to play. We're going to listen to Planet SErpo. I'm going to get that connected back up again here for us. Sometimes it can lag the whole system, and we don't like that.
Oh, excuse me.
Here we go. Now we can add that to the roster. Go back to our screen. Add that. And there we go.
Chapter 10. Arrival.
All right. Okay. So, Chapter 10, Arrival. Where we are. Right. So, everybody's watching. This is the synapse all the way up to Chapter 10 from Chapter 1. Chapter 1, they discover the aliens are real. They're real people. They're real, they have real ships and everything. The aliens gift humanity a couple of the ships and a couple books of knowledge and teach the humans a whole bunch of stuff. And the humans teach the aliens a whole bunch of things about humans. And the aliens are generally interested in our species. Moving forward, the aliens decide that they propose that there should be some sort of exchange program where so many ETs come to Earth and live on Earth, and then so many humans go back to where they're from. And they don't just call them ETs, they call them events, extraterrestrial biological entity number section or something like
right.
events. It's crazy. And so they move forward. We're talking about that. Then they get it up to past Roswell and all that. They're already past the whole Roswell situation. That's where they're like, discovering aliens and stuff. Then they move into the territory of selecting and training humans to go to outer space on this craft with these events. Well, what ends up happening is they get it down to about, I think, 6 people, and of those, 12 people, and of those 12 people, they get on the ship and stuff to go in through space, to travel through space. Well, the whole chapters, the 2 chapters about them going through space, it turns out that space is no joke, bro. Like, space is not something you want to just try and travel through. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do to be able to travel through space. Like, the reason why these evens look funny and stuff, they're like, is because we travel through space. Like, this is the body designed for travel through space. So, anyways, it turns out that they've discovered that their body is a little bit different than the humans, and what you have to take, like what you consume, your food, your drink, your medicines, everything, have to be reprogrammed for space travel. And so the Ebens have a whole bunch of dietary things that they have created for space travel. And then the human diet is just a little bit tweaked. So they have to figure out, like, they spend half of the trip to the planet figuring out the humans' diet, trying to get the humans dialed in for space travel. Like, the Ebens themselves are even still experimenting on the humans, like getting them ready for space travel, which is crazy. So that's what leads us up to Arrival. So they've experimented. And one of the crew members died upon arrival, or during travel. They got sick with a bacterium of some sort, and the Evens wouldn't let the other human doctors open the human up to see what it was. The Even said no, it would be bad for the mission if you guys came into contact with this disease. For business. Yeah, so they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And they were like, all right. So they finished that off. That's where we are. All right, let's go. Oh, that's not the way that works. I'm being silly.
The commander's diary describes the arrival on SErpo. EB-1 came in, told us the journey was almost over, led us to a hallway. We got into a moving room and moved to another part of the ship. Came out into a large room with many items. I can't identify them, but they look like clothing chests or bedroom chests. We are also led to a large table with food. EB-1 tells us to eat. He said, "Good food, eat." We all look at each other. 700 and 754 say, "Let's eat." Okay, we find plates. Seems like ceramic plates. Real heavy. I chose something that looks like a stew. I then got a biscuit, same as we ate earlier. The drinks were in metal containers. Same fluid we drank earlier. We all ate. Very little taste in the stew. Something like potatoes, maybe cucumbers, some type of stems. Not really bad. The biscuits taste the same. Everyone sat and ate. We found something like apples but didn't taste like apples. Sweet and soft. I ate one. Leaves an aftertaste in my mouth. Team looks happy. Some are joking about not having any ice cream. Okay, the MVC is in Rome. First time we saw him. He speaks through EB-1. The language really bothers my ears. The high-pitched sounds and then the vocal tones sound very strange. EB-1 tells us MVC wants us to prepare for landing. Okay, how do we do that? We must go into bowl room and get in bowl. No one wants to do that, but if we have to, we will do that. We are lead back to moving room and travel back to bowl room. We climb into the bowl. Some use pot for relief of our bowels and bladders. Then climb into bowl. The lid's closed, but we are awake. Just lie there. I fall asleep. The bowl lids have opened. My wristwatch says 1100. I guess it is still day one. We climb out. EB-1 is at our side. He tells us, landing home. Okay, I guess we are there. We gather our gear. 700 reminds us to wear our sunglasses once we exit. We pack up and walk down long hallway. Then into another moving room. We travel for 1 minute. Then door open. We are in a large room. We see our stowed gear. Many smaller spaceships are stored here. A large door opens. Bright light. We see the planet for the first time. We walk down the ramp. Large number of Ebens waiting for us. We see a large Eben, largest one we have seen yet. He comes forward and starts speaking to us. EB-1 translates a welcome message from the leader. I guess this guy is the leader. About 1 foot taller than the others. The leader tells us we are welcome to planet. He called it something we do not understand. EB-1 isn't doing a good job translating. But we are led to an open arena. Looks like a parade field. The ground is dirt. Looking up, I see blue skies. The sky is very clear. We see 2 suns. One brighter than the other. The landscape looks like a desert, Arizona or New Mexico. No vegetation that we can see. There are rolling hills, but nothing but dirt. This must be the central village or town. We landed in an open area with large structures like electrical towers. Something is sitting on top of these towers. On the center of the village is a large tower. Looks like a concrete structure. Very large, maybe 300 feet. Looks like a mirror is placed on top of this tower. All the buildings looks like adobe or mud huts. Some are larger than others. Looking in one direction, can't tell any actual compass readings, but there is a very large structure. All the Ebens are dressed in the same clothing, except for some of the Ebens who were on the spaceship. Now I see others dressed in a dark blue outfit, different from the others. Each Eben is wearing some type of box on their belts. All have belts. Can't see any children, but maybe they are the same size too. Our boots leave an imprint on the soil. The brightness is almost too much for our eyes without sunglasses. Looking around 360 degrees, I see buildings and barren land. Can't see any vegetation. I wonder where they grow their food. What a planet. Hard Hard to believe we will have to live 10 years here. But a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one footstep. Can't remember who said that, but that just came to mind. Interestingly, the Ebens offloaded the supplies and equipment onto 16 separate pallets. The commander was not able to view the offloading procedure, but apparently it was accomplished very quickly, so it seems likely that the Ebens manually transferred everything to 16 pallets, and then floated the pallets into the underground storage area. Perhaps they were able to make the heavy items weightless when they moved them onto the pallets. SErpo is a rather desolate-looking planet, and the commander is clearly not very happy about what he sees. In his words, "What a planet. Hard to believe we will have to live 10 years here." We later learned that this is not the Ebens' native planet, but was chosen as a refuge after the volcanic devastation of their home planet. But large numbers of Ebens are welcoming us. They seem friendly. Then, almost shocking us, someone speaks English. We all look around and see an Eben. This Eben speaks very good English. This Eben, we call EB2, speaks almost fluent English, with exception of not really pronouncing the letter W. But EB2 does a good job speaking English. EB2 says we are welcome to the planet SErpo. Okay, that is the name of their planet. EB2 shows us a device and tells us every one of us must wear it. It looks like a small transistor radio. We put it on our belts. The weather is extremely hot. Asked 633 to take temperature. 633 says it is 107 degrees. Very warm. We take off top jacket and that leaves us with a one-piece flight suit. The Ebens look at us, but seem very friendly. Some are wearing some type of shawls. I asked EB2 about that. EB2 says they are females. Okay, I see. They all look alike. Really hard to tell one apart except for the uniform. Some have different colored uniforms. I asked EB2 about that, and EB2 says it is a military uniform. Okay, that makes sense. EB2 led us to a series of huts, looking like Adobe-style houses. There are 4. Behind them is an underground room, or storage area. It is built into the ground,
lay down.
Underground. We have to walk down a ramp. The doors look like military igloos that store our atomic bombs on Earth. All our gear taken off the spaceship is stored there. We walk down into this area. Very large room. Very cool, a lot cooler. We might have to sleep here. All our gear is there. 16 pallets of gear. This igloo is made up of something like concrete, but not the same texture. Feels like soft rubber, but still hard. The floor is made of the same stuff. There are lights in the ceiling. Looks like spotlights. They have electricity. We must inventory all our gear sometime. We go back to the huts. The huts are cooler than outside, but still very warm. We must get organized. I tell EB2, we will need to be alone and get organized. EB2, then I realize EB2 is female, and says okay. We will be left alone. I asked for the body of 308. EB2 seems to be confused, and doesn't know about any body. I explained to EB2, she held her hands across her body, and bowed her head. It was really an emotional sight, because she was almost crying. EB2 told us that the body would be brought to us, but she must check with her trainer. The word trainer kind of shocked me. Is EB2 in training, and someone is teaching her? Or is the word trainer and even something different in English? Maybe that means leader, or commander. Don't know. But EB2 left. I told 203 to gather everyone in the lower storage area. We will have a team meeting. 633 suggested we start the calendar as of today. It is 1,300 on our day 1, on planet SErpo. The team was able to use all their electrical appliances. They plugged them all into a sealed black box, and they all worked. It is believed that the team was able to use the Eben device that they had developed to communicate with Earth. There didn't seem to be anything to prevent this, except for the slim possibility that it only worked with the Eben language. But even in that case, the Ebens would have translated messages into English. For some reason, Anonymous never discusses the utilization of this communications device by the team. It is interesting to note that the Ebens have electricity, but no air conditioning. This is one of the many paradoxes of the Eben technology and civilization. They are advanced and civilized, and yet they are primitive and simple at the same time. The female alien that the team commander designated as EB2, who speaks excellent English, is clearly the same EB2 who had translated the Yellow Book, and who presented it to our greeting party at the first landing in April 1964, and who also translated the conversation at that time. It is coincidental that she was given the same name both times, because none of the team members had been present during the greeting at the April landing. They were all waiting in a bus. Her emotional reaction in this bit of drama regarding the body of 308 reveals a sympathetic and compassionate nature, which the team learned was generally characteristic of this race. As we will see, this first incident about the recovery of 308's body was the opening round of what turned out to almost become a major diplomatic problem very early in the game. In this next diary entry, we see that EB2 becomes a very important link between the team and the other Ebens. We had a serious problem. How do we explain our science to an alien entity who doesn't know Einstein, Kepler, or any of the other scientists of our time? Simple mathematics seems so foreign to them. EB2 is the smart one. She seems to understand our language more. She even seems to understand our basic math. We started with the basic math. 2 plus 2. Then progressed on. She understood, and even caught on so quickly that she continued on without our help. We realized she has a great IQ when she repeated 1,000 times 1,000, and came up with an answer. We showed her our slide rule. It took her a couple of minutes to figure it out, although I don't think she fully understood all the symbols on the slide rule. She is really something. We found a personality in her. Maybe because we have more contact with her than the others. She is very warm-hearted, one can just sense that in her. She really cares about us, and she even worries about us. During our first night, she seemed to make sure everything was just right for us. She warned us about the heat and the light. She mentioned that SErpo does not get dark, like Earth. I wonder how she knew that? Has she visited Earth? Maybe she is just educated on Earth's properties. Maybe they have books about Earth. Anyway, on the first night, she told us about the winds. What winds? Gusty winds start just when the one sun sets. The other sun does not, but stays in the lower horizon. The winds blow dust, free dust into our huts. We had a very difficult first night. We call it night, but it seems that the Ebens just call it a period of their day. EB2 knew the word, day, but didn't compare it to Earth's day. Maybe she hasn't been to Earth. We didn't sleep well during our night. The Ebens don't sleep like we do. They seem to rest for periods of time, and then wake, and go about their business, whatever that might be. When we awoke, EB2 was there, outside our hut. I opened the door and she was waiting. Why? How did she know we were awake? Maybe the huts are being monitored by some sensor. EB2 told us to follow her to the eating place. She didn't use the word dining hall, or chow hall, or facility. She used the word place. The fact that the team used a slide rule for computations really dates this entry, and authenticates the time frame. The introduction of inexpensive scientific calculators in 1974 made the slide rule virtually obsolete. But in the 1960s, all engineers routinely carried slide rules on their belts. The fact that EB2 was able to quickly understand the use of the slide rule with its cryptic symbols tells us a lot about the high Eben intelligence. The commander speculates that perhaps EB2 had visited Earth. At this point, he did not know that EB2 had indeed visited Earth in April 1964. And evidently, he knew nothing about the Yellow Book, or he would have been informed that she had been the translator. The fact that MJ12 kept this very important piece of knowledge from the team is astonishing. In this case, the paranoia and secrecy went too far. This team had given up a great deal to make this journey, and they deserved to know everything possible about the planet that would be their home for the next 10 years. Someone should have briefed them about the Yellow Book. Once I gathered the team, we walked across the village. I'll call it a village, for the sake of wording. We entered a large building. It seemed to be large. based on the small stature of the Ebens. There was food on the tables. I guess we'd call this place a chow hall. Ebens looked at us, but carried on eating. Do they not cook inside their huts? Maybe everyone eats here. We walked to the food tables. Same food we saw and ate on the spaceship, except some items were different. They had large bowls of something, like fruits. Strange looking things. They also had something like cottage cheese. It tasted like sour milk, but after the initial taste, all right. I encouraged each team member to eat and drink. We might as well get used to the food. But 700 tells us to eat just one of their meals a day, and stick to our C rations for the other meals. That way, our system will adjust to the even food. We sat at a table, small compared to our standards, and ate. The Ebens, numbering probably about 100, just ate, and didn't really bother us. Every now and then, we would catch Ebens staring at us. But, we were the freaks, not them. We are the visitors. We are the aliens. We must really look strange to them. We all look different. They all look this.
Let's stop and take a second to reflect on what he just said. We are the aliens. We are the visitors. We are the freaks. Those are such powerful admittances of the observant. You know, that is such a very profound way to understand your situation when you're moving about like that, even throughout the galaxy, even within our own world here on Earth, even today. People from certain countries moving into other countries, that's the same kind of concept you go through. It's the same mentality you have to battle your brain through to get yourself to accept the other side. You know what I mean? Like, to realize, oh wow, you know, that person's different, I'm different, you know, I go over there, I'm going to be completely different, you know, type of a deal. So that's just mind boggling, right? Just, like I said, they do pay some good attention to some specific details. And like when they were talking before, like on the last episode where I was watching the last two chapters, where they were talking about the travel there and how specific they were. Like I told you, he brought up the dead guy's body again. That's why I had to tell you about it, because you're gonna be like, wait, somebody died? And like, so I made sure you knew, because he brought up the dead guy again, and I was just like, well, this is all, you know, this is all strange, you know. But at the same time, it was pretty much a guaranteed known that they took that one guy and they exposed that one guy to all the different bacteriums of their planet to see which ones would kill those guys. And then they made sure everybody else on the team was secretly inoculated to all those bacteriums and stuff. So their science is that far ahead. So as to where like now the other humans will be okay. They can eat the products, eat the food, and all that type of stuff, and not get sick. So that's my big takeaway from it. On the other side of things, like what are we looking at on the backside? Like what happened? What did they not tell you that was going on? What I seen was they took one guy, they experimented on the one guy, and then they fed everybody the vaccinations, the food, the drink, the everything that would make them, you know, because everybody gets sick. They all got space sick. The whole crew, all the humans got space sick. So what I'm thinking is maybe they misstrued that space sickness for vaccination sickness, because everybody goes down. Like when you get a vaccine of any kind, you go down for at least 4 hours, 5 hours. You get sick, right? Well, maybe these more extreme vaccines, you're probably going down for like, you know, a day or two. Like that's what he was saying, is like he was talking, he described a loss of sense of time. Like the whole the whole point was him supposed to be able to keep time, but he wasn't able to keep time. There's a complete loss of time during the travel. So the only time he knew that 10 months had elapsed was when he landed on the planet. He knew that 10 full months had elapsed because It was a 10-month journey. They took 3 wormholes and 4 breaks or something like that. 3 wormholes and 4 breaks between the wormholes and stuff. It was crazy. It was a long journey. Anyways, we got just a couple minutes left on this chapter, and then we'll scoot right into the next chapter.
How can they compare us to them? They can't. We stare at them. They stare at us. We then see a different looking even. Very strange looking creature. Large, long arms, almost floats along with long legs. Can't be an even. We all stare. This creature just floats by us and didn't even look at us. I find EB2. She is eating with 3 others. Once I approach her, she stands and almost bows her head towards me. Maybe just a greeting. Have to remember that. I ask her about the creature we saw. I ask if that was some other type of even. EB2 seems confused. She asked me what creature. I used the word creature. Maybe that was an insult, or maybe she didn't know the word. I pointed to the thing at the other end of the building. She then saw what I meant. EB2 said, "No even, just a visitor. Like you," pointing to me. "Okay, I see. They have other alien visitors here. I guess we are not the only ones."
Oh,
I
snap.
then asked EB2, "What planet did that visitor come from?" EB2 said something like, "Corda," not sure of the exact word, although I asked her to repeat it twice. "Okay, where is Corda?" She walks me to a television. At least it looks like one. It is positioned in the corner of the building. It is set up like some type of command station. She places her finger on the glass and something appears. The universe? Star systems. I don't recognize any of them. She points to a spot and says Corda. "Okay, where is Earth?" She points to another spot and says Earth. Based on this television glass space map, Corda and Earth are very close. But I don't know the scale of this map. Maybe they are 1 trillion miles apart, or maybe 10 light years. But they seem close. I'll have to have one of the scientists look at this and see. Okay, I thank EB2. She seems pleased. She almost looks like an angel. She seems so very nice. She touched my hand and pointed to my table and said, "Eat." "Good eat?" I laughed and said, "Yes, good chow hall food." She
Okay, so that's a funny thing. He mentions the angelic likeness because these are also the same evens who were said to be the entities that acted on behalf of Jesus's behest, or Jesus may he even have been one of these creatures. Okay, these specific beings. So that's something that's really crazy that he mentions later on another moment where that he sees like an angelicness to the evens. So that's all interesting.
I guess she doesn't know what a chow hall is. I pointed to the building and said, "Chow hall, earth eating place." She repeated what I said, "Chow hall, earth eating place." I laughed and walked away. Now she will think all Earth restaurants are called chow halls. The description of the creature from Corda sounds very much like the alien
That's
we now call the
hilarious.
mantis, because it resembles a praying mantis. Many contactees have reported seeing these aliens on spaceships when they were abducted. They are invariably described as kind and compassionate beings.
Yeah.
The fact that aliens from other star systems are permitted to freely mingle with the populace testifies to the galactic cosmopolitan nature of SErpo. In the Chow Hall incident, we see that a very affectionate, trusting relationship has sprung up between the commander and EB2, who has evidently been designated as their combination translator, guide, and hostess.
All right, we're going to go into chapter 11.
Adjustment. The team commander's record of the first day on SErpo continues. We return to our huts. We must get better organized. We have a meeting. Everyone seems okay. We wonder about latrines. Where do we relieve ourselves? EB1 comes by. She seems as if she is reading our minds. Maybe they can even do that. EB1 tells us and shows us the pot in the hut. We all wondered what that was. Okay, that is our latrine. Realize that won't work very well, but we'll do what we can. Then we realize the pot has some sort of chemical inside. Our wastes are dissolved, or something like that. Can't really tell. Each of the 4 huts has one. That will work for the time being. We are told to walk on the ground. Not sure what they mean by that, but 420 says that might be to just walk around. Okay, that we will do. I organize the teams. 102 will remain with 225. I want 633 and 661 to look at the television glass map and see if they can tell which star system is Corda. I asked 518, biologist, to take temperature readings and general weather observations. I know it is hot. Very hot. Must be over 140 degrees. 754 warns us to keep covered from sun radiation. 754 says radiation levels are high. Doesn't sound very good to me. This reminds me of Nevada. 1956, during one of the atomic bomb testings. We had hot weather, and we had to worry about the radiation from the atomic blasts. Now we are on a strange planet, 40 light years from Earth, and we have radiation and heat. But we have to explore. That is why we were sent. We start walking around. 475 will take photographs with our military cameras. I hope the film is not affected by the radiation. How do we develop it? Maybe we didn't think of everything. I team up with 225. We walk to a large, open-door building. We walk in, and it looks like a classroom, but no evens are here. There is a large television tube. It takes up the entire wall. There are some lights flashing on this television tube. We examine the tube. It is very thin. I wonder how it works. Where are the tubes or the electronics? But maybe they are more advanced in this area than us. They must be. We don't find, or touch, anything else in this building. We move on. Wow, it is so very hot. I hope I get used to it. The commander's comparison of conditions on SErpo with the 1956 atomic bomb testing conditions in Nevada, especially with regard to radiation exposure, tells us that he must have been involved in those tests. This is the second piece of information revealed about the commander's past. We previously learned that he was from Colorado. The huge, thin television tube, without electronics showing, sounds suspiciously like our modern flat-screen televisions. Once again, was this technology given to us by the Ebens? It's interesting that the commander is surprised that, quote, they are more advanced in this area than us. Why would he be surprised that they are ahead of us in television technology when he knows that they have mastered time travel? The commander continues. We find
it's that natural human reaction of curiosity and surprise. You're ingrained with curiosity. Everything is curiosity. You're always going to be curious about what is this? Why does it do that? Why does it work? And then just your surprise. Your dumbfoundedness. That's just natural about humans. It doesn't matter if we saw something similar to it 2 weeks ago. We'll see it again and we'll be like, oh wow, look at that. We have no recourse on that. That is just the human reaction to something. So I feel like, why would he already omit the fact that space travel and time travel and all of that being the same? He, in his brain, he just omits it as, oh, we just traveled. He's not one of those humans that was programmed to assert the idea of how far that travel was for how long and all that, to dissect it in that way. So that's just crazy. But that would be my explanation for why the human being is so excited about everything. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
It has a large mirror. We saw this when we first arrived yesterday. We find an Eben standing near the door, but he moves to one side. We ask him if he understands English. He just stares at us, but seems friendly.
Very good.
I guess he doesn't speak English. We move on, into the building. Can't find any stairs. But we see some type of round glass room. Maybe it is an elevator. Then we hear English. We turn around. and find EB2 standing there. Where did she come from? I ask her if we may explore this building. She said yes, of course. She points to the glass room and says go up. Okay, we enter the glass room. The glass door closes and goes up real fast. In no time, we are at the top. But what is this? We ask EB2. She points to the sun, and then points to the top of the room, where the mirror is located. She then points to the ground. Okay, we see it. The tower is in the middle of a circle. The circle is situated on the ground. In each quadrant of the circle is a symbol. I see that the sun is directed through the mirror. Maybe this isn't a mirror as we know it, since the sunlight travels through it. But once the sunlight travels through it, the light is directed on a symbol within the circle. EB2 says that when light contacts symbol, then evens make change. Not sure what that means. Maybe she means it tells the evens what to do. 225 seems to think it is a sundial. When the sun strikes a symbol, the evens change what they are doing, and do something else. Maybe the even day is structured. Or maybe this is their clock. Strange. But we are on an alien planet. I'm glad I still have my sense of humor. This is only our first day of school. We have a lot to learn. We have to keep an open mind. We can't keep comparing things to Earth. We have to open our minds to new ideas and new science. All these things are foreign to us, but we must learn. I pointed to my wristwatch, and then pointed to the ground, and in a gesture to show EB2 that the two items are timepieces. Not sure if she understood. But I said time, and she then understood. Yes, she said, even time, pointing to the ground. I pointed again to the wristwatch and said, Earth time. EB2 then almost smiled and said, no Earth time on SErpo. Okay, that makes sense, as time is relative. 225 said, she just told us that Earth time doesn't work on SErpo. Yes, I guess she did. What good is our watches or our time devices here? They don't work. We have to start using even time. But we must also maintain our time, because we must know when to leave. 10 years seem like a million. Maybe based on even time, that it might just be a million years. Let's hope not. No time to think about home. We have a mission and duties to perform. We are a military team and we must maintain that idea. 225 and myself go back into the glass bowl and go down to the ground. A sketch shown was made by the team commander to attempt to capture his view of the base of the mirrored tower. He considered this important enough to draw, because the sun's focus on these objects dictated the day's activities for everyone in the community, and each community had such a tower. It should be noted that Anonymous claims the sketch was made in 1967. Since the team arrived on SErpo in mid-1966, obviously this sketch was not made on the first day on the planet, but a few months later. Anonymous mentions drafting templates to explain that these templates were used to make the sketch. It is not a freehand drawing. Website moderator Bill Ryan adds the following information about how it was drawn. It has since been shown conclusively that this drawing was made with a Model Rocketeer design R22 architect's drawing stencil. However, it is also known that this very common template was on the market a number of years before the SErpo mission departed in 1965, and may well have been included among the equipment taken by the SErpo team. A great deal of planning went into the 10-year mission to SErpo. Several teams of officials planned what equipment to take. These officials tried to imagine every conceivable situation where certain types of tools and other equipment might be needed. One area was capturing the view and makeup of objects, artifacts and landscapes on planet SErpo. The mission team took cameras, 16 different types of cameras and drawing and drafting equipment. Although no team member was trained in drafting, 3 team members had drawing experience from their college days. Several different types of drafting templates were taken on the trip. The planning officials tried to envision every type of situation where a template might be needed. The drawing, made by the team commander, depicts the base of the sundial. Each object meant a certain time of day to the evens. When the sun was directed, through the sundial, onto the object at the base of the sundial, that meant a specific change of task to the evens. For example, It might signal a change in work schedules, a time to rest, a time to eat, a time to celebrate, etc. After a few years, the team learned each symbol and learned the meaning of each symbol. This drawing is a copy of the actual drawing made by the team commander in 1967. The team also took many photographs of the sundial symbols. The regimentation of even society is surprising. Our team was able to determine that the average IQ of the Evens was 165 on our scale. It wouldn't be expected that aliens with such high intelligence would subject themselves to such rigid control over their daily activity. On Earth, we associate creativity with complete freedom of expression, and we understand that creative people must be permitted to live, perhaps eccentric lives. We actually expect writers and artists to not conform to conventional patterns of life. Perhaps this is the key. The Evens did not display the sort of individuality that we have, and consequently there was little or no creativity in the Even race.
The communists.
They are not very innovative. They simply accept the precedents and follow the rules handed down to them from earlier generations. Intelligence alone does not guarantee creativity. From this, we can begin to appreciate the unique qualities of the human soul and the importance of diversity. We walk into another building, large again. Inside we find rows and rows of plants. This must be some sort of greenhouse. They are growing food. Many Evens are inside. They look at us with some glares. But we just walk in and around. One Eben comes up to us and speaks, but in Even. He seems to be telling us something. He points to the ceiling, and then to our heads. Maybe he is telling us to cover our heads. We must find EB2. We go back outside and then find EB2. She always seems to be there. Now we understand why. She is monitoring us by the devices we are wearing on our belts. I ask EB2, what is that building? She says food making place. Okay, maybe we contaminated the place. We told her that another Even spoke to us and then pointed to our heads. EB2 seemed confused and walked back into the building with us. The same Even exchanged words with EB2, and she then told us that we must wear a cover on our heads in order to enter. Why? But we don't argue. This other Even produces some sort of cloth hat, and we wear it. We walk about. The Even seemed happy. We look at their plants. They are growing food in soil. They have a watering system. They also have some sort of transparent cloth over each plant. I point to the watering system and ask EB2 if that is water, drinking water. She says yes. Then she senses we are thirsty. EB2 leads us to a place near another entrance and offers us water. At least we think it is water. Tastes like chemicals, but it is water. Actually tastes good. This is another example of Even technology that seemed novel to our people at that time in the mid-1960s, but hydroponics is now commonly used here to grow vegetables. It permits complete and inexpensive control over plant growth, and requires no soil. It is beginning to appear that we learned a great deal from our SErpo experience. In his 6th information release, Anonymous gives the following details about the Even food, taken from the 3,000-page debriefing document that he had in his possession. Food was a problem for our team members. Our team consumed mostly military-style C rations, but eventually had to switch to Even food. The Evens had a variety of food items. They grow vegetables. Our team found items similar to potatoes, but they tasted different. They had some type of lettuce, turnips, and tomatoes. They were the only items similar to ours. The Evens had other vegetables grown. These were strange-looking, round items with long vines. The Evens cooked the vines and ate the large portion of the plant raw. The Evens had some type of white liquid, which we first thought was a form of milk. But after tasting it, our team realized it was different, both in taste and content. The liquid came from a small tree, located in the northern portion of the planet. The Evens literally milked the tree for the liquid. It appeared to be some sort of pleasure to drink the stuff. Our team members never got a real taste for the liquid. The Evens cooked food. They make pots of stew, which were extremely tasteless to our team. We used a lot of salt and pepper. They also baked a form of bread. It was non-yeast bread, and tasted fairly good, but caused extreme constipation to our team members. We had to drink large quantities of water in order to digest the bread. The one common food that Ebens and our team members liked was the fruit. The Ebens ate a great quantity of fruit. The fruit, although different from anything we saw, was sweet. Some of the fruit tasted something like melons, while others tasted like apples. Another problem was water. The water on SErpo contained a number of unknown chemicals found by our team. Our team eventually had to boil the water before drinking it. Seeing this, the Ebens built a large plant that processed water for our team. Anonymous continues. The Ebens did not have a physiological need to release body wastes as we did. The Ebens had small collection locations in the residence for their body wastes. But the Ebens' body was extremely efficient in processing all food taken in. Their body wastes consisted of a small amount of fecal matter, similar to a small cat dropping. Our team members never saw any urine excretion from an Eben. On the other hand, our team members' wastes consisted of bulk quantity of both fecal matter and urine. The Ebens had to dig large waste reception sites for our 12 team members' waste. The Ebens accommodated our team. Chapter 12.
All right. So that's been interesting, right? That's been fun to see. We got some things to talk about, so let's take a break from that and let's pull up some other stuff. So if you people like what's going on here at WebC Official, why don't you head on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe and comment on all our videos. Check us out, see what we're doing. And if you really like, and you really like it, this QR code I just threw up will send you over to our Patreon where you can become a sponsor. And we got a bunch of different options over there where you can check out to help donate to become a sponsor. That's the only way you can really be a sponsor is make a donation. It's not really like a heavy fee or anything. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can afford to help pitch in to help us make this channel better. And the more money we take in, the more we'll be able to get better viewers, and the better everything will just go from there. All right, so those are our two super QR codes for WebC Official. And then we're going to come down here. Right now, we're doing a sale on these Kit Bash Gundam stickers, and they are amazing. So they're buy one, get one, plus get a hollow foil third sticker. So you get two stickers plus a holofoil sticker, and the man himself, the Model Rocketeer, is on the window telling you guys, hell yeah. So head on over there. It's a link to a quick PayPal section. You just make the one $4 payment and you get your stickers. That's all it is, man. Just
free shipping around the world. Yep. Get your address, give me an address, and make it clear. I can get it to you. Don't worry. It's just it'll get there.
Sweet. And now, for our March sponsors, Clarksville Hobby Depot LLC over in Clarksville, Tennessee, and they're an awesome group of people. We have MG Gundam Death Scythe Hell Custom. You guys, come on out, hit that QR code, that chat box link, whatever you got to hit to go over there to our sponsors. Shoot him some cash to get that super cool Gundam, put it together. Man, yep. I think Gundam Death Scythe is probably one of the coolest Gundams.
It's one that's on my backlog list that I want to get. I haven't purchased it yet, but I've been looking. So, guys, check it out for real. Don't forget, you can use the hanger code. You can save 10% on a $25 kit or more. You get the graph, you want to get that.
Yeah, here, let me throw this up here again. It's secretly in this one. The Model Rocketeer said it's secretly in this one. Let's see if I can pop it back over here so you can see it again. G_Syndicate 10. If you guys can see that right there, that's the Clarksville Hobby Depot discount code from us here at WebC Official and the Model Rocketeer. So, all right, back to the business. That was a fun little break. What are you thinking? They're talking about where they put the poop, man. I mean, that's kind of crazy, isn't it?
But I understand, but we're just very basic creatures.
Oh, yeah.
We're human bodies. Like this body, people, this is a body, and there's a consciousness in here. apes have one, dolphins have one, other animals exhibit high consciousness. On the ape level, they're of a very high consciousness level, and that is why they're able to travel in space, unlike we can't. There's a time compression quotient thing that it just ruins the humanity in us because we're just a weird physical creature, and we cannot structure ourselves like they can. So that's why they're weird. They're different than us. But the reality is, we are aliens to this planet ourselves.
Exactly. It's totally crazy, and I think it would be crazy. I think I think whatever we're doing on their planet in this scenario might actually have like a beneficial impact to them. You know what I mean? Like it might be an impact they might not understand yet, but it might be a very beneficial impact for them.
It could be.
You know, especially like us being able to create so much more fecal matter than them. That means that we could be giving them a fertilizer to grow better products, better plants and stuff that they could wean out from that. So, anyways, yeah, let's go. Chapter 12.
And fourth, that this would be a long-term project, which it would take generations of totalitarian control to bring to a successful conclusion. A foolproof system of eugenics, designed to standardize the human product, and so to facilitate task of managers. Foreword to Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Published in 1946. Following the death of 308 on the trip to SErpo, the Ebens took control of the body without explanation. Upon arrival, the team commander requested the body of 308, and was told that was not possible. In the following diary entry, the commander relates how his attempt to retrieve the body escalated into a tense confrontation, and how EB2 tried desperately to defuse the situation. The leader of the Ebens is a larger creature than the others. He seems to be more aggressive than the other Ebens. When I write aggressive, I don't mean in a hostile way. He seems to be the boss, similar to me, as the team commander. His voice, although after all this time I still can't understand any words, is harsh, and with a tone that is different from the rest. 203 claims the leader has an attitude. I agree. He is extremely friendly to us, and has accommodated all our requests. The leader has requested many things from us, most of which we have provided. One strange thing is our blood. He wanted all of us to supply a blood sample. EB2 explained that the blood, or health fluid, as EB2 explained it, was necessary for them to supply any medicine to us, if we should ever need it. 700 and 754 felt that a blood sample might just be used for other purposes. We have allowed the Ebens to utilize 308's body for experiments. They took all 308's blood. That was without my approval. I wrote about that in log 3888. We had a very tense situation with the Ebens about that. When we traveled to the building housing 308's body, we were confronted by several Ebens. EB1 is the Eben leader referred to above. He is not the same as the EB1 who crashed at Roswell. Showed up, and I explained that we wanted the body of 308. EB1 told us the body was in storage, and we could not take it. We told EB1 that we will take it. The 11 of us walked by the Ebens, numbering 6, and walked into the building. They did not attempt to stop us. While inside, we could not open any of the containers. There was some type of system, maybe crypto style, that was being used to lock the containers. We did find the container housing 308's body. We decided to send 899 to our storage area and get some explosives to open the container. EB2 showed up with the leader.
The A-team.
EB2 was extremely polite and asked us to wait. She used the word please several times. In fact, she actually used the English word beg. We backed off, and I told EB2 that we wanted our friend's body, and we wanted to examine it. EB2 translated that to the leader. There was a long exchange of words between the two. Finally, EB2, who seemed very frustrated, told us that the leader would like us to go to another location and speak with another Eben, a doctor, about the body of 308. EB2 explained that everything we wanted to know about 308's body would be explained to us by the Eben doctor, who EB2 said spoke English. I told EB2 that I would leave 899 and 754 here to guard the body, and I would take the others to the location containing the doctor. EB2 translated that to the leader. Again, there was a long, drawn-out exchange of words between the two. It lasted for several minutes. Finally, EB2 stated that the leader would like all of us to leave this building and go to visit with the doctor. I told EB2, no. I would not leave the body of 308 alone. I felt that this was going to be a confrontation. I told 518 and 420 to go back, obtain our handguns and come back ASAP. I was not going to allow the Ebens to counter my decisions. When EB2 heard this, she told me to wait and placed her hand against my chest. I told her to translate that to the leader. Again, there were several minutes of word exchanges between the two. EB2 then stated that the leader would bring the doctor here to discuss the situation with us. EB2 asked me to please don't send your men for guns. Guns are not needed. We can settle this without guns. Please don't. I told EB2 that we would not get the guns, but we would not leave until we saw 308's body. The leader did something with the communication device on his belt. About 20 minutes later, 3 Ebens showed up inside this building. One of the Ebens identified himself as a doctor and spoke very good English. This doctor had a strange sounding voice, almost like a human's voice. This doctor did not have a high-pitch accent, like EB1 and EB2. I was very impressed with this doctor. I just wonder where he has been for these past 18 months. We have never seen him before. This doctor told us that 308's body was not inside the container. The Ebens had done experiments with 308's body because they considered it an honor to have such a specimen to work with. The doctor told us they have used 308's body to create a type of cloned human being. I stopped the doctor at this point. I told the doctor that the body of my teammate was the property of the United States of America, planet Earth. The body did not belong to the Ebens. I did not authorize any experiments on the body of 308. I explained that humans consider a body to be sacred. Only I could have authorized the use of 308's body for experiments. I demanded to see the body. This doctor explained the body was gone. He said all the blood and body organs were taken out and used to clone other beings. The use of the word beings really scared me, and the others. 899 became extremely angry. He called the doctor curse names. I ordered 899 to be quiet. I then told 203 to take 899 out of the building. I realized this matter could really blossom into a major incident. I could not allow that to happen. There were just 11 of us, and we realized that if the Ebens wanted to imprison us or kill us, they could do it very easily.
Right.
But I didn't think the Ebens would resort to such behavior. I was not going to allow this incident to advance into something worse. I realized there wasn't much we could do about
Ray
what the
Gun.
Ebens have
You're
done with
so
308's body.
great.
EB2 looked very upset. She told me that everyone should be nice. She repeated the word times. EB2 did not want this matter to escalate. I kind of sorry for her. She was trying to mediate the matter. 203 suggested we return to our living quarters and have a team meeting. I told the leader that I did not want any further interference between.
Oh, she
whatever
got
is
hot
left of
breath tonight.
308's
She's
body
just
and
sitting right in front of
experiments.
me, breathing
I
right
pointed
at
my
me.
finger toward the leader's face. EB2 translated, along with the doctor. The doctor, who was extremely straightforward, told me that nothing further would happen with the body, but advised me very little was left of the body. EB2 then told me the leader was concerned that we were upset, that we were their guests, that the leader was upset that we were offended. The leader did not wish to upset us, and promised that nothing further would happen to the body. I thanked EB2, and had her relay that to the leader. We returned to our huts. Everyone was upset, especially 899. I told each member to calm down. I explained our situation, as if each team member didn't already realize it, that we were only 11 military personnel. We had no way of fighting the Ebens. We did not come 40 light years to start a war we could not win. We could not even win a simple fistfight with the Ebens. Yes, maybe we could beat them up, but what then? We have to realize our situation and act accordingly.
Yeah.
I ordered each member to reconsider the situation and to accept the facts about 308's body. I told 633 and 700 to investigate this cloning procedure with the English-speaking even doctor. Let's get all the facts about what they did with the body, and what we can find out about the body and the Eben's experiments on it. The trip to SErpo was our traumatic introduction to the world that Aldous Huxley had prophetically anticipated 33 years earlier, in his classic novel, Brave New World. Even 20 years before James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins had solved the riddle of how human traits are passed on from generation to generation, with the discovery of the DNA molecule. Huxley could see where it was all heading. A synopsis of the book in Master Plots, edited by Frank N. McGill, says, human beings were turned out by mass production. The entire process, from the fertilization of the egg to the birth of the baby, was carried out by trained workers and machines. Each fertilized egg was placed in a solution, in a large bottle for scientific development into whatever class in society the human was intended. As early as 1943, Nazi horror Dr. Joseph Mengele, the social of death, was already studying identical twins at Auschwitz to learn how to clone human beings. By the time the team left Earth in 1965, DNA was well understood by science, and the team scientists should have been aware of it, especially since Watson, Crick, and Wilkins had won the Nobel Prize in Physiology in 1962. Also, by that time, there were reports leaking from top-secret circles that some of the gray aliens, who had been abducting humans, were creating a hybrid human-alien race using sophisticated genetic procedures, although the books on this subject by Bud Hopkins and John Mack were yet to be written. Furthermore, it was believed that the Greys themselves were clones. So the concept of human or alien cloning should not have been told to the doctors and scientists on the team. And yet, they were shocked by the fact that the Ebens considered the body of 308 a great prize for their crossbreeding experiments. This was their rude introduction to the brave new world of genetic engineering. But bigger shocks were yet to come. The team commander continues the story.
Oh, really? I mean, this is basically what these Ebens are doing. Is basically what they're just handpicking. You know, what do we do with dogs? We handpick. You know, we take the best of that breed and we breed it with the next best of that breed that we can that can breed with that dog, right? Like we take those two best dogs and you breed them, and then you get the best out of those dogs. You know, that's the same. That's basically what these you just described. These Ebens are doing, man. They're selective breeding, and what that does is that puts different genetics within the breeding pool. You know, like it adds good things and can be bad things. Like so here in Earth, where that is strange is like okay, so we have the royal family where they're like all inbreeding and stuff, so their genetics are all super weird, right? Like they have like weird genetic anomalies that only belong to them because of their inbreeding. And then we have the normal people like me and you who we don't really want to do that type of stuff. you know So I'm just saying that's something that's interesting to think about, man. This story is we're halfway through this chapter. Dude, I fell down my stairs the other day. I'm not doing the greatest. I'm in a lot of pain. So, all right.
EB2 came to the hut. I told her that 633 and 700 were going to examine what was left of 308's body. They would also conduct research into the Ebens experiments done on 308's body. EB2 looked very concerned. It is sometimes difficult for us, even after the time we have been on this planet, to determine the meaning of facial expressions on an Eben's face. EB2 replied that she must first obtain approval. Approval was a new word for EB2. She was just reading, or learning our language. Maybe she is just picking up our words. I told EB2 that she could go get permission, but that we were told when we arrived that we did not have any restrictions on where we went. EB2 said she would speak with the leader. 633 and 700 gathered test equipment and prepared themselves for the examination of the Eben laboratory. According to our time devices, EB2 came back about 80 minutes later. EB2 said it was all right for my men to visit their laboratory. I decided that I would also visit it. Myself, 633 and 700 were escorted by EB2 to the laboratory facility. We had to be taken by the heli transport device, as we call their helicopters. It took us some time before arriving at this location. According to our compass readings, which are not really a compass reading, but we made points of references, and according to them, we traveled north. The facility was large, by even standards. The building looked like a large single-story windowless school. We landed on the roof, or maybe just a landing zone on the roof. We were escorted down a walkway or ramp. They don't have ladders on this planet. I think I wrote about this in one of my past entries. We arrived in a room. White walls. We then walked through a hallway into another larger room. We met our English-speaking doctor. We saw many other Ebens, all dressed in a bluish-colored one-piece suit. Different from their ordinary suits I spoke of in past entries. The doctor told us that all the experiments done inside this building, he didn't call it a laboratory, just a building, are done to create cloned beings. We were led into another room, where there were rows of containers, looking like glass bathtubs. Inside each bathtub were bodies. I was shocked, as were 700 and 754. Strange-looking bodies. Not human bodies, at least not all of them. We started walking down the space between the tubs. We looked into the tubs. These were hideous-looking creatures. I asked the doctor what type of creatures were inside these tubs. The doctor told us that these creatures came from other planets. 700 asked the doctor, were these creatures dead when they arrived? Or did the Ebens bring them here dead? The doctor said all the creatures were brought to the planet alive. 700 asked if the creatures were kidnapped, or brought here against their wishes. The doctor was not sure of the word kidnapped. He seemed puzzled. The doctor asked about the question. 700 said that these creatures were taken from another planet, and brought to SErpo without permission from them, were their leaders of their planet. The doctor said that these beings were brought here for experiments. These creatures are not intelligent beings. EB2 then used the word animals. Okay, now I understand. All these creatures are animals from other planets. The doctor didn't seem to understand the word animal. EB2 and the doctor exchanged words in Eben, and the doctor then said, yes, they are animals. I then asked if there were any intelligent creatures in this building. The doctor said yes, but that all of them were dead when they arrived on SErpo. 700 asked to see these creatures. The doctor corrected 700 by saying beings. Okay, I guess creatures are animals and beings are like humans. Let me first write down the description of these creatures inside these tubs. They are not all alike. The first creature I see inside the tub looks like a porcupine. It appears to have a tube placed inside of it. The tube leads to a box underneath the tub. The second creature I see looks like a monster. It has a large head, big deep-set eyes, no ears, a mouth, but no teeth.
Go lay down.
It is about 5 feet long and has 2 lower legs, but no feet. It has 2 arms, but it doesn't appear to have any elbows. It has hands, but no fingers. This creature also has a tube going through it. The next creature looks like nothing I can compare it to. It has blood-red skin, 2 spots in the middle, maybe eyes. No arms or legs. It has a very strange odor. The skin appeared to be blotchy with scales. Maybe like a fish. Maybe it is a fish. The next creature was human-like. But the skin was white, not skin white, the color white. The skin was wrinkled. The head was large, with 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a mouth. The neck was very small. The head almost looked as if it sat on the lower torso. The chest is thin, with large bone-like protrusions. The arms were curled, with hands but no thumbs.
There was a goblin.
The legs are also curled with feet, but only 3 toes. I couldn't look at any more creatures. We walked down another hallway, through a room, down a ramp, into another room. We came into what looked like a hospital room. There were many beds, or at least some type of bed, even style bed. I described them before. In each bed was a living being, as the doctor called it. The doctor told us that each being was alive and well cared for. 700 asked the doctor if these beings were ill or sick. EB2 had to translate that, but the doctor said no. They are being lived. The three of us, 102, 754, and 700, seemed really stunned by that word lived. I asked EB2 what the doctor meant. She exchanged words with the doctor. EB2 then used the word grown. 700 asked the doctor if these were the cloned beings that he mentioned before. The doctor said, yes, that each being was being grown, using the same word as EB2 just used. 754 asked the doctor if these beings were being grown like a plant. The doctor said yes, that is a good comparison. 700 asked the doctor how are they grown. The doctor said that certain parts of other beings were used to grow these beings. The doctor said he could not explain the process in English, because he didn't know the words. 700 then asked EB2 if she could explain the growing process. EB2 said she did not know the English words. She said that parts of the blood and other organs are used to mix a substance that is placed inside the bodies of these beings. That was all EB2 could explain in English. I told 700 to go back and get 420, and bring him back. While we waited for 420, we looked at these beings. They were breathing.
That's not.
They looked like humans, most of them. Two of the beings at the end looked like humans with dog heads. These beings were not awake. They were either sleeping or drugged. 420 returned. I told 420 to see if he could translate the method used to grow these beings. 420 then spoke with EB2. 420 is really good. However long we have been here, some guess about 18 months Earth time, 420 learned the Eben language well. 420 then said that the growing process involved cells taken from other beings, grown and mixed with chemicals, and then inserted into the bodies of other beings. That was about all 420 could explain. 420 did not know the words EB2 used, but the word cells was used. EB2 then told me that some things were taken from inside the cells. 700 and 754 then asked if the items taken from inside the cells were cell membranes, or identification markers for the cells. EB2 translated that to the doctor. Both seemed confused, and said they could not explain the process, because they did not know the English words for it. 700 used the word, advanced biological extraction of the cell membranes. But neither EB2 or the doctor knew anything about that process. I asked 754 if he might understand what they were doing. 754 said that human cells contain smaller substances that can identify the structure with the membranes of the cell. This isn't something that Earth technology has advanced, but 754 had read about it prior to leaving. But 754 doesn't think that Earth technology can be used to grow living cells into what the Ebens have done. The Ebens must have found a way to grow cells and to make them into living beings. 700 and 754 said nothing like this is known on Earth. I then asked the doctor if 308's body was used to create a being. The doctor said yes, and showed us the being. I was shocked, as was 700 and 754. This being, with our teammates' blood and cells, looked like a large Eben, but the hands and legs were similar to humans. How could they have grown this being so quickly? Obviously, this is well above our intelligence. I saw all I wanted to see. I told the doctor that we would like to leave. EB2 saw that I was upset and touched my hand. Instantly, I felt concern. EB2 was really concerned about what I saw. She said we should leave. We traveled outside this building, a building that I did not wish to see again. I saw the dark side of this civilization. The Ebens are not the humane civilization we thought they were. But I must say, they didn't hide anything. The doctor spoke straight to us. Just like the Ebens. They don't know how to lie. Seeing what we saw will change our impression of the Ebens as long as we stay on this planet. The two doctors, 700 and 754, were beginning to understand what was going on when they asked if the items taken from inside the cells were cell membranes or identification markers for the cells. And then when 754 said that human cells contain smaller substances that can identify the structure with the membranes of the cell, He was describing DNA without being aware of it. The commander goes on to say, this isn't something that Earth technology has advanced to, but 754 has read about it prior to leaving. But 754 doesn't think that Earth technology can be used to grow living cells into what the Ebens have done. 700 and 754 said nothing like this is known on Earth. The doctors basically understood what was happening, but DNA biotechnology on Earth was not yet being used to duplicate living beings or grow organs. They must have obtained a quick education about this when they saw the hybrid creature that had been created using 308's DNA. Evidently, the Ebens have the same capabilities as the Greys. Their ongoing alien genetic engineering program has been proceeding since the 1950s in underground laboratories, such as at Dulce in New Mexico. Various whistleblowers have reported seeing the genetically engineered freaks in these locations. We have, no doubt, learned a lot from these alien experiments, and now, with our well-developed DNA knowledge, we basically understand, at least theoretically, what the Ebens and Greys are doing. Whether or not we have attempted to duplicate any of their monstrous experiments is, of course, unknown. That may be one reason for the continuing secrecy. Chapter 18.
There we go. We're done. That's going to be it for the night. We're going to bounce out of here. Does a good 3 chapters. That last chapter was a big, was the big woo, So, but here's the thing is, through my research, I knew that the Greys of some sort had this technology and were utilizing it for something. One of the stories that you always hear about the Greys is that they're coming to Earth looking for the right DNA codes to re-spark life on their planet, because life isn't going on their planet. It's gone, And that's what they're describing when they were describing that new planet. They were like, "Oh yeah, it's desolate. It's got nothing. It's a desert. It's, So I was like, "Well, that's crazy." So, yeah, that's where we're gonna end it off here for the night, and then we got Sunday and Tuesday. We'll have some more stuff to go through on Sunday and Tuesday, and then, yeah. So we should for Tuesday, we're gonna kick Tuesday's show off though with Egypt, Area 51. So all you guys out there, all you watchers, all you listeners, go research Egypt, Area 51, and we'll have a bunch of stuff to talk about on Tuesday and Sunday. Yep, so that's what we'll be doing. All right, you guys have a great night, and this has been the Late Night L.O.A.D.